I'm going to try to show as quickly as possible how to render an animation in Thea Studio using a scene from SketchUp kind of as a background and an animated object from Blender, which is merged into the scene. And the animated object is going to go across this platform here. It's going to translate across it, and it's also going to mesh deform. So there's an extra button in Blender that needs to be pushed. So this platform is zero point 0.6 meters high from the ground here. I'm just going to use that information later, and I'm going to work all in meters because Blender units, meters, and Thea units all seem to work together if we stick to the idea of meters or 1 unit. So this is 0.6 high. I'll show you why I worry about that. Okay, now if I go ahead and just render this, something to note is I've got this funny camera angle. Okay, this is a certain camera angle. I've got the sun in the sky, and here I am. I'm just building my model. I'm just trying to get the background sort of all kind of the way I want it. Okay, then I will export that to Thea Studio, and then over in Thea, this is the scene, and I've made some changes now. I'm dressing up the background scene. I'm using maybe things that are specific to Thea that I maybe can't do in SketchUp. And I'm going to run the animation from within Thea, so I want to have this all set up like this. So I've changed the camera angle. I've changed the I'm going to have it use Presto MC with 16 samples just to kind of speed things up. And I've changed the lighting. So I don't have, in this scene, the final rendering is not going to use the sun in the sky. It's going to use this dark scene with just this spotlight, which I've added in Thea Studio outside of SketchUp. I just took the SketchUp scene, modified it, and now this is going to be, I call it the base scene. So I have saved this as Blender SU Thea base scene. Okay, so I'm going to remember that file name and where it is. It's a good idea to have everything in one directory. Just set your temp directories in Blender to one directory for this project, and it just seems to avoid some miscellaneous crashes and problems. Okay, so we've got this base scene set up. Now over in Blender, I've got a simple animation. It's a cylinder, which is, you can see it mesh deforming, and it's also translating. And it happens to be, I have moved the origin down to the bottom, and it's 0.6 of a Blender unit. If I can stop it. There it is, 0.6. And it's over just far enough to sit on my table. I sort of had to know that. There'd be ways to use proxies or something to kind of help you situate where you want this animated object to be, but this was simple enough, and I know this is going to make it sit on that table and slide across the table without falling off. Okay, now, so we've got that done. Okay, so there is also note, I'm going to go ahead and I've got the Thea physical sky turned on here, which I always do because sometimes things don't work if you don't turn it on. And if I render interactively, we'll see, okay, that's good, that worked. Okay, and I've got some Thea gold material from the material lab put on this object, so that's just to show that it rendered, and it's using the Thea physical sky. But remember, in the final animation, we want that dark spotlight. So we're just going to observe that if we do this right, it's going to use the settings from that base scene and just use this animated object for the final rendering. Okay, so here we go. Most everything else happens in the rendering tab. I've got this as 20 frames, so I've set the end frame here to 20 frames. This is very important. I sometimes had that set to a temporary subdirectory that I use for Blender stuff, and I ran into some trouble because I was using a different directory for, oh, I don't know, the material link that I used versus this. I think it's just better to have this point to the project subdirectory that you're working on. So that's set there. That has to be a valid path. Try to avoid spaces in file names and weird characters. That always causes trouble. Okay, coming down here, we want to enable the Thea tools and select this object and hit enable animation export. Not exactly sure what that does, but it doesn't seem to hurt anything to do it. And this is the important one. Because the mesh is deforming, we need to select this. We have to click on that too, so that it'll export a new mesh for every frame, because it is a new mesh. It's a different mesh. So if you don't click that, the thing might translate, but it won't mesh deform. This is the way it used to work, and generally that's the way it works. Okay, we're going to export the animation, but not yet, because we're going to come down here, and I've set this for TR1 with 100 samples, again just to show that when we do this right, the final animation rendering is going to use that Presto MC with just 16 samples. All right, so Thea display we don't care about. Okay, it's down here. There are two Thea setup. I used to use this, only use this, but I'm not going to use it anymore. I'm going to always use, I think, this one. And this is in fact I think the correct way to do this for what we are actually trying to achieve. First of all, we want to click this, load the thing. This is the base file. So I'm going in here and I'm finding that base scene. I can see I should have erased my previous trial stuff, but we'll just see how we go. So that's selected, and the important one here is under models. You want to change this to merge, name, collision, replace. I used to always choose replace mesh, and lately I've gotten in trouble with that, so I don't know why I wouldn't just click this, and this one seems to work. So with this one box checked and that changed and the merge file there, we can go up, and I'm thinking we're ready. I would go ahead and save, because there's a lot of crashes that go on. But now with that having been selected, I'm going to export the animation. Here we go. Okay, good. Now we're going to go back to the Thea base scene, and here it is. I've got it loaded up here, and all you got to do is open. You're looking for the latest camera.ipt.thea. Nothing else matters. This is stuff left over from other renders and things. This is the one that just got written at 2127. So I'm going to open that. And it's looking good because it's got 20 frames, and that's correct. So let's just run it. Okay, so here's for the first cylinder. Now I've had trouble with it deforming but not translating, and I don't know why. And you can see it's already on the 4th frame, and I think it's just not updating quick enough. But I think it's writing the files all right. And now I'm just going to pause it. You can see obviously that it has got rid of all that ground and sun and everything, and it is using my special lighting setup, and it's just using 16 samples, and it's using Presto MC. It's going so quickly. I'll pause it again, and it just took over a minute, and I've got 20 frames now, and here they are. and you can see, it's kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but the object is translating and it is deforming. So that was a success. Um, the only real trick is to, whether you need to or not, select the object or probably objects that you want to have animated, and click enable animation export and enable mesh animation before you export. And then assuming you're using a base scene, you need to check this, and then merge for models, merge name, collision, replace. Okay, that's about it.